Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs. And today is Monday, so you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update, Johnny. Let's get right to it. I'm looking at Brooklyn supply, 2,799. Show me that chart.
Yeah, it's down 0.5% on the week, Noah. That's really not a surprise as we are in summer, and there really hasn't been a lot of listing activity in Brooklyn to begin with. So to see that kind of, tick lower by a tiny amount, really, again, not a surprise.
Yeah, and this is the part of the equation I think that is frustrating buyers. They see all these changes out there. They're not seeing all that inventory rush in. And this is kind of what happens, especially in a Brooklyn market. That's a kind of a hybrid market. Let's go shift over to pending sales, the measure of Brooklyn demand, 3,280. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, so 3,280 on the dot, as you said. No, that's up 1.5% from last week, and that's a little bit of a surprise. I mean, there's been a lot of oscillation here. Really, 1% either way is not something that's going to move the needle, but it's interesting that it ticked up.
Yeah, and then you put those two together and you got a market pulse around 1.17 here. I believe that's stabilizing and going up and down after a downfall. So there wasn't that much of a shift change right now. If there's something going on right now, I guess you'll see it in the deals, and we don't have that information. If there's deals happening, we just don't have it. We have to wait another 3 months. What we do have is we have weekly deal flow and weekly listing flow, and that tells us a lot. Johnny, let's go over to Brooklyn supply, 224 things in the weekly pace. Show me that chart.
Yeah, that's actually up almost 1%. And, again, we were just talking about a little oscillation. That's exactly what's happening in the new actives too. They're up 1 week, down another. If you look year over year, right, we go back to 2021. There were I think about 27, we're actually down about 27% from where we were last year. So you can tell the difference in the markets just from that one stat alone. We're going to see that also in the weekly contract signs. But, last year there was a certain set. We're lower this year. Again, you can chalk it up to the summer as you want. You can chalk it up to a shift, but a little bit less on the listing side again this week.
Yeah, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing the inventory pile on. What's interesting also is off market. We also got to keep in mind off market. I know we don't track that on a daily basis, but sellers tend to remove listings from the market when the market shifts and they can't get their bid. At least a lot of sellers do. The ones that need the money and to liquidate, they got to go on and do what they got to do. So we'll keep an eye on off market, even though it's rising just a little bit. But more importantly is demand, and contract signs is our demand metric, Johnny. Let's take a look at that. 180 on a weekly basis, down just a few percentage points. Show me that chart.
Yeah, it is down just a few percentage points, and it's importantly, I suppose, is down below that 200 number, which we somehow think is some magical number for Brooklyn. Last year at this time, I don't even know where it was offhand. It was well over 200, probably 220 or so. So comparing year on year, we're probably down about 30%. And that's, if you're going to feel the market shift in Brooklyn, you're going to feel that summer slowdown. This is where you're going to feel it, those weekly contract signs, when they're sort of down on the order of 30% year over year.
Yeah, and I think it's early. Johnny, and I think it's that relative shock that you always talk about. It's like we were over here, we weren't going 90 miles an hour, and now we're going 65 miles an hour. Even though we're still going fast, it's slower than what we were going. But you know what? We still got July, we still got August.
Yeah.
So we got some time to go through this kind of thing and see what happens. And let's take a look at market pulse in Brooklyn, and let's divide that all up by price point, Johnny, because you brought this up, and it's interesting. It's interesting that when you look at this, right, there's only 2 of these lines that are truly falling. And of course, they're going to be the higher price point ones, the 1 to 2 million and the 2 to 5 million. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the lower 600K to $1 million, the green line, less than 600K, that I don't know what to call that is, blue, gray, whatever that is. Both those lines are quite stable. So you can see that the higher end is actually having a little bit more of an adjustment in terms of this real-time metric. Going to take time for it to go filter through the sales, though, Johnny.
Yeah, I would agree. And if you're going to see any kind of a slowdown, usually it's going to start in the luxury sector and sort of work its way down. And that's what we're seeing here, right? The 2 and the 5 started turning April, May. As you can clearly see those lines heading down. Whereas, the 600 to $1 million is kind of actually ticking up. And so is the under 600. That's clearly the sweet spot right now in Brooklyn. And that's, again, that's, if you can find homes for that price in Brooklyn or Manhattan, that's going to be a great value.
Right. Exactly. That's what's coming up, I think. I think we have a deep value pocket that lies ahead. Probably not as much for Brooklyn as it will be for Manhattan, is what it is. We'll see. But, let's just shift on to Brooklyn one more time. I'll show you one more data set before we let you go today. And this is going to be Brooklyn net new listings. And, this is one of those things we like to look at, because if the market is truly shifting, you should see more liquidity come on in terms of inventory, housing, sellers. More sellers typically come in when this happens. And when I look at net new listings, right? Take into account what's coming on versus what's going off and what's going into contract and put them all together in a blender and spit out. It could be a negative number, and it came in negative again so far for June, Johnny.
It did, and this is Brooklyn as a whole. So once we start slicing
Yeah.
and dicing this, this picture is going to change. But the whole, if you're looking at all of Brooklyn, you get the sense that, oh gosh, inventory is still tight.
Yeah, I mean, this was a little tease. This was a little tease right over there. Let's break it up, Johnny. Here's Brooklyn under 1 million.
Yeah.
Tight market. That's what came for the market pulse.
Tight and getting tighter. I mean, that's the biggest one we've seen this year. That's the biggest negative we've seen this year, Noah.
Yeah, and if you go over 1 million, that is ticking up just a little bit. So that is ticking up just a little bit in the over 1 million right over there. Noise. I mean, it's not much of a move at all. It hasn't been doing much in the last 3 months. It's just slowly moving up. When there's something happening, show it. You know what I'm saying?
You're exactly right. But it started when? March, April, May. And so you get the
Yes.
sense though, that if you're a buyer in the over 1 million, you're starting to get the sense that when you open up your Street Easy app or you open up your City Snap app or whatever it is you're looking at to get listing information for Brooklyn as a buyer, you're starting to see more things, and you're starting to see fewer things sort of jump off into contract or leave the market entirely. So you might get the sense that inventory is building, even if it's not actually building, you're just seeing more stuff.
Yeah, and it's happening slowly.
Right.
There's nothing violent in anything I'm seeing right here for Brooklyn.
This is
All
like
right,
turtle collision.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, John Walker, for pulling up all that data as always. That is John Walker. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, you guys got questions, we got answers. We got our forum right down over here. If you want any of the reports that Johnny whipped up today, it'll be right over here in just a little bit. Other than that, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update, and we'll catch you next time.